It's recording. Right, I'm just going to share my screen so we can get onto the presentation. Okay, welcome everyone to the Grow Waitaha DigiAwards teacher session. I'm Nikki Tempero, and my co-presenter today is Jackie, who I have beside me.
Kia ora everybody, I'm Jackie Young from Core Education, and with us within the room we also have Sam Pelham, who will be joining us for part of our presentation.
Sam's from St Albans School, and she's just going to be talking to us today about teacher perspective. So welcome everyone, nice to have you here. We're going to start this afternoon with a karakia. So if you would like to join in with us as we say this, would be great. Thank you.
Inahia te pō whiri marama, tomakia te ao whatu tangata, tātai ki runga, tātai ki raro, tātai ahoroi, haumie huie tai ki e. So from confusion comes understanding, from understanding comes unity. We are interwoven, we are interconnected together as one.
Right, as I said before, I'm Nikki Tempero and we've got Jackie Young here. We're just going to we haven't got many people here, so we're just going to pop around in the room, and if we have one school at a time like to mute their microphones and just tell us what school you are and who you are would be interesting. Donna, would you like to start us?
Kia ora, Donna from Addington Te Kura Taumātua, but we also have about another 10 people in the room. 10? No, how many? Yep. So we've got people from our senior team and our junior team here to find out about the DigiAwards, as we think it's something we could be doing with our students. So this is our first time into it. We've heard of them, but don't know much more than that.
Oh, you'll know lots by the end of the day. So welcome everyone. And Emma.
Hey guys, I'm Emma from Lincoln Primary School. So we're a bit of DigiAwards, been around for a while for us. So always looking at ways we can improve and sort of take our kids to the next level with it. So kia ora.
Welcome. And we got Wes Melton.
Kia ora koutou katoa, ko Carolyn Sutherland tōku ingoa. I'm actually representing my e-learning team, who have all left me to go to maths and NDPDL meetings. So thank you for recording this, much appreciated.
Looks like you've got a nice green screen behind you.
I do, I'm in the green screen room.
You could have just popped them up.
I know. Oh, darn it, 3 o'clock-itis.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if anybody's got any questions at any time, I'm monitoring the chat. So if you want to look at the chat icon at the bottom of your screen, you can type in some messages there, and I'm monitoring that, and hopefully I'll be able to answer some of your questions there as well.
But also feel free just to unmute and ask questions as we go. There's a small group here, so it's just easy to run, and we can answer things as we go. So the DigiAwards, this is about the 5th year they have been run. It started off for the East schools, just using iPads and for the students learning how to use different apps and having a celebration. And it's just grown over the years from just the East side to mainly Christchurch, but this year we're also having a bit of a focus in South Canterbury as well, and try and get some more people to join us. Now, I'm just going to click here on going to the Grow Waitaha website. So this is where you'll go to find out all the information. So here it's just talking about what it is and some photographs from some of our winners last year. And then it's got information about how to enter rules and terms and conditions, also a contact there. And then just scrolling further down, there's more information here about the themes, the workshops, criteria, celebration evening, and then further down still are resources. So as everything is organised and themes organised and workshops, there'll be more information coming up here. So over the next few weeks and next term, just keep popping back into this website and there'll be information shared there as well. And, you know, for any other schools that perhaps haven't heard about DigiAwards, please you know, share the information in the website with them as well. So the DigiAwards are for the kids, by the kids, and with the kids. So the aim is really for the children, you know, to take ownership of what they produce and look at developing the key competencies as they're going and the soft skills of the agency and connectedness and collaboration, and looking at all of those before they start looking at what they're actually going to produce. The sense of achievement that we see with the students when they're on stage, seeing their little presentation and collecting awards is just amazing. It's very exciting to see. So this year for the categories, we have already made a decision about the categories. They've been reasonably similar for the last few years, so we've made a decision for these ones, and we've incorporated a couple of new ones. So video, a video documentary, which will be 3 minutes long as the one category. Storytelling, 3 minutes long. Now the commercial is the new one for this year, and the limit for that is 45 seconds. Coding we have again for the second year. Now coding can be, it can be Scratch, it can be Scratch Junior, but it can also be coding with B-bots or any other robotics equipment that you have. Web page, once again, this is for students to create a web page about the theme or anything else. We have an open theme this year, so anything else that they are interested in. And that can be using Weebly, it can be using Google Sites, anything at all that is suitable for a web page. And then the last category, creative digital image. So that's just one photo, and that can just be a plain photo, but it can also be digitally enhanced. Might just pause there for a wee second. Is there any questions that you have about the categories or anything else we've talked about so far? If you can't see the chat, it's right down the bottom of your screen, and there's a wee chat button. Jackie's just typing a wee message so you can see that where it comes up, hopefully. Okay, so please, anytime, just take over the microphone or pop in there. Okay, so in previous years, we've had student leadership workshops to come up with a theme, and we're running that again this year as well. We are also this year introducing an open theme because we've had feedback from many schools saying that the set theme doesn't quite work in with everything else that's happening in the school. So we have the open theme this year, your choice, as well as the student leadership theme that is being decided next week. Now the student leadership workshop is next Thursday, and the process is that we have up to about 16 children come in, and going through the design thinking process, they come up with a theme. And so next Thursday, we will be going through this process, and by the Friday, we will be able to share with you what the student theme is for this year. We will send the link out again, but there is maybe 1 or 2 places. So if anyone would like to put in the chat now that they would like 1 or 2 students to come along, we can actually pop it in the form for you now. Teachers or teacher aides or parents are also welcome to come along with the students. They can participate in the session, working alongside the children, or we have a little cafe here where they can sit and relax and have their coffee and read a magazine, or there's coffee shops around. Right, I'll pass this over to Jackie now for the judging criteria.
So the judging criteria this year is a little bit similar to the ones we've used in the past. When the judges see your work, you can see that we look at whether or not it's a compelling piece of work and the degree to which it's compelling. And by compelling, you can see there's some of the keywords that we're looking for. So how well does it connect with the audience? Is it engaging? What's their organisation of their presentation like? If it's a video or it's a web page, or if it's a piece of digital art, how much does it make us want to know some more? So that's one aspect that we're looking at. We're also looking at their level of technical skills. So what types of skills can we see to be able to support the project that they put in? So their lighting, sound, special effects, graphics, transitions, shots, enhancements, all of that sort of thing is what we're looking for. So that's the technical aspect. And then we're looking at the creativity. So how much imagination and originality have they put in, whether it's looking at our theme that has been generated by students or their own theme. And so that leads me on to the next little bit, is if you're going to use our theme, when you do your enrolment, then you just have to indicate which, that you're doing our theme. But if you're choosing to use your own theme, then we need in the entry requirement what that theme is and how you are trying to elaborate on what that theme is. And we look at 3 different levels, as you can see there. We're looking at students who are emerging DigiAward presenters or developers or creators, whether they're developing their skills or whether at the advanced level. Now, to help you as well find out a little bit about what in more details going on, more than we can cover today, we're running some workshops. Now, there's 2 types of workshops. There's a teacher-only workshop, which is running in the school holidays on the 16th of April. It's being held here in Core, and I just need to give you a heads up, there is no parking at Core site at all, and so you just have to have a look around the streets to see if you can find some parking to come in. But we're going to be here working with you and developing some skills, helping you in a little bit more detail about what we're looking for to help the skills as well as the storytelling development and the project, how you can do some planning to make sure that the students achieve what you want them to achieve or what they want to achieve. So their timeliness, their self-management skills, all those key competencies that Nikki talked about at the beginning. But we're also running a whole series of student workshops as well, and that's to help the students develop some of their ideas, the skills they might need, and give them some ideas about planning, because often they've got some great ideas, but it's that last minute rush. And I'm sure some of you who've entered before, it's that last minute panic sometimes, the day before it's due. And we're quite strict this year on the cut-off time, and we'll get to that later. And so they're at a variety of different places. Each of those schools have generously offered to host, at those times, and so of course the numbers are limited. Now we're not just looking at students only coming, we will require an adult to be there on site to supervise the students that you are sending. So I think when you do your enrolment, and there's the registrations link, when they are up online, they're not there at the moment, but they will be soon, there will be a limit of 3 to 4 students per school, and then we may be putting in a question about whether or not you want to be on the waiting list, just in case that it doesn't fill up originally. And you can send students at all ages, and so we will try and pitch those workshops for a junior primary and a senior primary audience, so they'll be separated out there. When you do enrol, it's very important that you read the terms and conditions box, because there's some rules and regulations there, but also there's some the photo requirements, because we will be taking photos, and we need to know if we've got permission from the students that are coming and their whānau to be able to allow them. Now, I was just about to open up the terms and conditions link, so you can see back on the DigiAwards website. There's a whole lot there, but when you do register, you have to tick a box saying that you have approved and that you've read them. So I'm going to hand over now to Sam, who's going to tell you a little bit about what it was like for her on the teacher end of doing some presentations for the DigiAwards. Sam.
Actually, I'll take it off sharing, and so they can actually see you. There we go.
Hi, I'm Sam and I'm at St Albans School, and we've been entering the DigiAwards for 4 years now, and for us it's probably one of the great highlights of our school year. The children are really excited about it, right from the end of last year's DigiAwards right through to now. They've been asking when the next ones are, because they enjoy the activities that we do, but also they really love the process, and they particularly love the DigiAwards night at the end of it. So it's been lots of fun. We started off with me in the junior school working with just a small group of children, and then we sort of expanded ourselves, and I've actually moved to the senior part of the school now, and we have tried different ways of working with children with the DigiAwards. And the method that we're using now is that we thought about whether it was something we were doing with our whole class, whether we were doing it with small groups and things. And we now work on a system where we have a Techie Kids group that come at lunchtimes, and they work on their projects through lunchtimes. And the children who are really passionate about it and really wanting to upskill, and we find that that means that then there's not that chasing your tail sort of stuff going on, and that's been really successful for us. For us, we spend a lot of time exploring the theme before we touch any digi equipment, and so there's been lots of talking, and for us a big part of that process is the oral language and the understanding of what the theme has been. And up until now it's been a DigiAwards set theme, but now that it can tie in with other classroom things, it may well be that it fits with inquiry and things that is already going on, which may make things a little bit easier from that perspective. For us, our children complete things in their lunch breaks, which means we have to factor in sound, because that's a big thing when you're trying to record for children and you've got background noise. So one of the things to think about is the type of project the children are doing and how manageable it is for the space that you've got to work in. This year we're really lucky because we've got brand new buildings that have got breakout spaces that are soundproof, so we're quite excited, because up until now we've been using our playground and had to find ways of filtering out background noise and things. We always start our projects with pencil and paper, and so the children do lots of talking about it, and they don't touch a digital device till quite a portion of work's already gone on behind the scenes, and they've done lots of thinking about it. They come up with a plan on paper. They think about the best way to present their idea, and children have a tendency, I've found, to want to make movies, but that hasn't always been the most successful entries for us. They have great ideas, but they're not always that great at making them come to reality. So for us, the most successful categories have been things like the digital photography and the coding and the websites, because they're things the children can do sort of a little bit more at their own pace, and they're not as dependent on a whole group being at school on the same day, because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to film a group and then somebody being away sick or that sort of thing going on. we always make sure that the children have a really clear direction of what their project's going to be and what they expect the end result to be before any Digi equipment comes out. And then once they've got the equipment, they do a trial run, and then they kind of hit the ground running really and come up with their project. I always tell them the due date is at least 2 weeks, sometimes 3 or 4 weeks before when it really is. That's because I don't like the last minute entries, and that's worked pretty well for us. And it also allows time for editing, because something that children seem to be really great at is making vast quantity of film or whatever they're making, but they're not so good at culling it. So we try and put in making sure that there's time for that part of the process to happen as well. For me, one of the things that's really important is the balance between teacher input and child input, because what I always say to the children that I'm working with is that this is their project, and so I'm there to give them suggestions or ask them questions about things, but I won't touch their device in terms of helping them with the end result, because I think that the digital skill needs to be their own rather than an adult-led. So that's just a take I have on it. Other schools may do that differently, but it's one of the bits of information I give the children right from the start, that any technical skill needs to be their own. So I'll happily teach them things, but they need to have the skill to make it happen. I find keeping a group size manageable is a pretty big part of things. So if they're working particularly on film, I say to them 4 or maybe 5 in a group, as many as you want, because if not, you have too many voices and sometimes too many opinions and not quite so many end results. So that works really well for us. We spend time talking about how they're going to work their project, how it's going to happen. So if they are making a film, who's going to be the reporter, how are they going to make sure everyone's opinion is included, and that sort of stuff, because I find the social skills they're learning along the way are just about as important as the digi skills that they're picking up as well. I find that the Core Ed website that these guys have already been showing you is the best source of information for anything. We used it an awful lot, and I shared that link with the children that were working on it last year, and then they had a direct port of call. They didn't need to come and ask me questions because it was all there for them, and they were able to independently use that information. And in particular, there's a section that has resources, and so if they're working on a type of project, there are specific resources that they can go to, and it helps them with that. And I found that really, really useful. And the other thing that was great was it's got the judging criteria there, so the children can see what they have to do to be an emerging or what is
or advanced.
Emerging or advanced, wherever they're at, and they can see the skill level that they need to be at for those things. And I found that also meant that they could see what they might need to do to change their project to be from the emerging to the advanced. And some of them would be able to go away and modify what they've done and come up with a better end result as well, which was really great. The 3 minutes on the video sounds like it's a really short time. It's actually a really, really long time for children to create something that's 3 minutes long. I personally tell my children they have 1.5 minutes, because that means that they end up with about a 2 to 2.5 minute video, because they're not very good at refining. So I don't tell them 3 minutes right from the start, simply because otherwise you end up with something that's 5 minutes. And I also tell them, and whether this is true or not, I'm not sure, but it works for my children. I tell them their movie would only be judged till the 3 minute mark if it went over.
Yeah, and that is true. There is a limit of 3 minutes, so it will be a cut-off there. If it sort of goes over and it's just the credits, that's okay. But there has been times when we've had movies that have come through that have been 15 minutes long, even though it's stated 3 minutes. So just stick to the time.
I see this as a really great way for the children to develop the creativity and the fun and all of those skills, but I also see it as probably the greatest thing that we do that helps with oral language. And because we've got such a big push on oral language through our school in particular, I see that as a really big benefit that comes with all of this. With the celebration night at the end, it's fantastic. We get, every year actually, I've had all of the children that have entered have gone along to that. And if you let your children know about it beforehand, it is a really cool celebration. And they love seeing what other schools have done and things. But to go alongside that, I just run something that might be useful in other schools as well, and we call it a Teki Brekkie, and we do it a week or two after the DigiAwards ceremony, because not every child's entry is going to get placed, and not every child's entry is going to get played on the big screen. So we do our own tiki breki, and the children come along and they have breakfast at school. They invite their parents along, and we just play it on our own screen. And so it's kind of like a second celebration, and it just means that way every child's work's being shared and celebrated for the efforts that they've put in. And we also put links to all of their projects on our school website as well. And just one other thing that I found really useful, and I did it last year and I wished I'd done it in previous years, was each time a child enters something with me, I just kept a Google Doc that had the entry and a link to it, because sometimes you can all good intentions in the world think you've entered their entry and then realise that it's not there. But by having it there, it meant I always had a backup of their entry. Or sometimes if children have made things on iPads and then they delete the photos, they lose the photos that they did have in their movie. So by me having a backup copy of it, it saved us more than once last year. So I wished I'd done that in previous years. And the other thing that we have found is part of the entry is there's a chance for you to write a description about the process that you've worked through, and or the child writes it, the process they've worked through and the meaning behind their entry. And I think it's really important that the children explain the purpose of their entry in that piece, because one of the things that, especially if they're working on something like coding, where you might have had to do lots and lots and lots of trial and error, and you don't come up with something that looks that spectacular, except that there's an enormous amount of thinking that's gone on behind it. If you can explain that part, it gives the judges a better idea of the process, which is part of the criteria that they're looking for, is that, you know, that especially in coding, that there is lots of trial and error, and for children to recognise that in that description, I've found to be really useful. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Sam. Has anyone got any questions for Sam, or anyone else that has participated in the DigiAwards that have got any particular tips or tricks that they would like to share with us? You can pop it in the chat, or if you'd like to take the microphone, you're more than welcome to.
For us, as a real highlight. So I think you'll have heaps of fun giving it a go. Yeah, it really is great.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
We're just practicing our wait time in case there's any questions come up or anyone wants to share. No questions yet. Okay, I'm just going to go back and share the screen back into the presentation. Should have cleaned up my desktop first.
So we've put in a little bit of a suggested timeline of activities that you can think about. They're suggestions only, except for the very last part of the timeline. And so entries will be cut off at 5 p.m. on Friday the 24th of August, which sounds a long way away, but as Sam was saying, it takes a long time to plan. So that's where you should be spending most of your time. Come along to the workshops, have a look at our suggestions only, and just have fun with what you're doing. So don't forget that final submission deadline.
And just like Sam was saying with the keeping a backup of what you think you have sent in, because every year, quite honestly, probably about half the entries we have to contact the teachers about making them open for other people to see or changing the privacy settings. So just make sure that everything is available for people to see. And another one of the little tips is, for example, last year the theme was manaakitanga, and probably about 80% of the entries were called manaakitanga. And so it's really important that you're very clear about the name and your school and who has actually entered, and especially with children's names, because they seem to be repeated quite a lot. So just be really clear about all of those and keep a backup. It's quite important.
So the celebration evening, we've just had it confirmed about venue this morning. We're not too sure on the exact date, but we do know at the moment it's either going to be the 18th or the 20th of September. The final confirmed date will be on the website, and there's the link there again. But it's going to be at the Charles Lunning Auditorium at St Margaret's College this year, and there's a wee little map there if you're not sure where to go. So there'll be more information and lots of sharing over our various social media platforms. And Nikki's already talked a little bit about some of the considerations, but you need to make sure there's clarity, because it gets a little bit confusing for the judges sometimes if they're all called the same thing. And there's a whole list of things that you can read through. One of the things we do want to know though, and you can put that in there, and we know it depends on the nature of the students and their ages that you're working with, but just an indication of how much teacher involvement was involved. And again, that's dependent on the age of the students. Remember, we've got to go back to what is this whole thing about. It's by the kids, for the kids, with the kids, and it's their work. And we're looking at student agency rather than teacher agency. There's some examples such as this one, the movie making. Haven't got time to show you here, but you can find these on the DigiAwards website, and you can go back and look at some past examples. So a little bit more about, very quickly, Creative Commons is something that you need to look at, and there's a whole lot of resources around that. Creative Commons means that do you have the legal right to use other people's pictures, work, etc. If you're the creator, consider making a Creative Commons for yourself if you're the creator. But then there's a whole lot of resources that you can use, and again, that's in the website's resources, about how you can acknowledge where you get these things from. And that page there, I'll let you read it, you can go through and have a look at, and there's an example on the screen as well, how you can acknowledge other people's work. Creative Commons itself, there's a web link there. It also is on the DigiAwards website as well, under resources. What do all these different symbols mean? Depending on whether you're free to use it or change it or can't use it at all if it's copyrighted. And some links that we've provided. So the first couple, Unsplash and Pixabay, are free image sites, so you can go and get whatever image you find on there as long as you acknowledge the owner. Same with Flickr as well. And there's a few places if you're using icons, Flat Icon and Noun Project. Noun Project has a whole lot of free ones, and if you want to pay, they've got hundreds of extra ones that you can actually pay to have access to. The overall winner for last year, if you go onto the website, you'll be able to see what took out the grand prize. A little bit there about Willowbank. They made a documentary. A little bit about movie making. There's a video on Manaakitanga, and if you want to connect with us and learn a little bit more, again, there's the Grow Waitaha website, but there'll also be information coming out via Facebook and Twitter and those various things as well. We'll just unshare.
Okay, I'm just unsharing the screen. Those are most of the things that we wanted to go through this afternoon. Has anyone got any questions or want anything clarified, or wants to share some tips and tricks that they have found as they've been going through the DigiAwards? You can either use the microphone, or if you would prefer just to pop in the chat, we can answer your questions there. Few things that have come up in the chat. Yeah, all the PD that we're doing for the teacher workshop and also the student workshop is all free. We'll even provide morning tea for you.
And if you have staff who are not present but you would like to share this recording with them, we are recording it, and the link to this will be put up onto the Grow Waitaha DigiAwards website, so you can access it at any time, replay it, go back over some bits and pieces, and have a look at some of the stuff, the links that we've provided.
Any questions? Donna, your group haven't been in the DigiAwards before. Have you got any questions or wonderings, or have we covered everything that you want to know?
Well, we just need to have a discussion now about how we think it would work in terms of some of the stuff Sam said around, is it a group of students, is it in classes, things like that. So we need to do some discussion. I think coming along to the teacher workshop would be beneficial. Can we bring is there a limit to the amount of people we can bring?
No limit. Well, overall,
Don't bring the whole staff.
No,
okay. It's
only 10 teachers, it's not that big, but yeah.
I think for the day it's sort of a limit of 50. So
in the room.
So you're more than welcome to bring as many as you like. The student workshop, there is a limit of 5 students though.
Yeah, no, we understand that. Yep, and we'll just have a think about, we're interested in what the theme is that comes up, and then how we can perhaps look at some of our deep learning work and some of our stuff around our cultural narrative as we move into our new spaces next term. Oh my goodness, next term. Yeah.
The student workshop working out the theme is also always really interesting, though, just their whole thought processes, and those ones that think, kitten is the best, theme for everybody, and, right up to those ones that, nobody even understands. So it's a really interesting process going through with the students. So that's, as I said earlier, there is a couple of spaces left. So if anyone wants to bring 2 children or 1, let me know as soon as possible and we can get that sorted. Right. Any questions? Yeah, cultural narrative has come up quite a few times. Has anyone got any ideas of themes? I mean, we won't be pushing the children into any ideas, but if you've got any themes that students already talked about, feel free to tell us now, or to just flick an email through to us, because it's always good to hear other people's ideas. Okay, there's nothing coming through in the chat. Does anyone want to take the microphone? You're a very quiet group.
Okay, so that means we started with a karakia, so we will finish off with a karakia. Nikki's just going to share it, and I invite you to join us once we get it up there. And slightly different one, which sends us on our way very nicely. Ka whakaeria te tapu, kia wātea ai te ara, kia tūruku whakataha ai, kia tūruku whakataha ai, hui e tae kia. So restrictions are moved aside, so the pathway is clear to return to everyday activities, enriched, unified and blessed. So thank you very much, everybody. The link to this will be put up onto the website. Thank you, Sam.
Big thank you to Sam.
And hopefully we look forward to seeing lots and lots of projects from your students. So kia ora, everybody.
Have a great rest of the week, everyone. Thank you.